the city was swallowed by darkness, an unnatural, suffocating black that erased every familiar landmark, every comforting street lamp, every beacon that usually guided life through the sprawling urban maze. Riverbend had never known a blackout like this. One moment the city buzzed with its usual electric heartbeat, the next, all the lights vanished, plunging millions into silence and shadow. In the midst of the chaos stood the Riverbend Emergency Medical Services Station. Inside, the air was thick with tension and the faint scent of burnt circuits. Jake Mercer stared at the ambulance dashboard, frustration writ deep on his face as systems flickered and failed. Beside him, Chen adjusted her gloves and gripped the radio, alert and ready. Tonight was no ordinary shift. Tonight, they were racing against a city gone dark. The blackout had cascaded through the power grid in waves, leaving whole neighborhoods blind and vulnerable. Hospitals scrambled to switch to backup generators. Traffic lights went dark, turning busy intersections into perilous battlegrounds. The phones at the 911 center erupted as frightened voices flooded in with urgent, desperate pleas for help. The radio crackled, shrill and urgent. Unit 5, respond to Maple Street, apartment fire, 5th floor. Residents trapped, heavy smoke. Jake slammed his fist lightly on the steering wheel, his jaw clenched. Maple Street fire. We're on it, Lily said, flipping the siren switch, unleashing the wailing howl that cut through the silence. The ambulance lurched forward into the pitch black. Outside, the streets were a maze of stalled cars and panicked pedestrians. Without traffic signals, intersections became gauntlets of confusion. Drivers abandoned vehicles in the middle of the road, horns blaring erratically, while others darted through side streets, desperate for escape. Jake's eyes darted constantly, scanning for movement, scanning for danger. The city had transformed overnight, no longer a place of order but of chaos and peril. Suddenly, the ambulance slowed to a crawl at a major intersection where cars sat frozen in gridlock. Jake leaned out the window, flashlight piercing the gloom. "Everyone clear the way," he shouted, voice firm but calm. Some drivers hesitated, fearful. Others scrambled, pushing cars aside as if the ambulance's urgent wail gave them purpose. Lily kept their radio open, listening to calls piling in. Unit 4, power outage reported at Riverbend General. Backup generator is unstable. Jake's heart sank. If the hospital lost power, lives would be at immediate risk. Unit 5, after the fire call, you're rerouted to assist at Riverbend General. Priority 1. Lily nodded. Copy that. After fire, hospital. They pushed onward through the snarled streets, headlights slicing through sheets of rain now falling steadily. Another call came through the radio. Unit 6, report of downed power lines sparking on Westwood Avenue. Area evacuated but dangerous. The blackout wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a cascade of emergencies feeding off each other like a wildfire. The ambulance reached Maple Street, where flickering emergency lights cast a ghostly glow over the darkened building. Smoke billowed from shattered windows on the 5th floor, curling into the black sky. Firefighters are on scene but need medical support, the radio buzzed. Jake pulled the ambulance close to the entrance. Lily grabbed the medical kit, and they dashed inside through choking smoke and frantic residents. Inside, chaos reigned. People struggled to escape the thickening smoke, coughing and stumbling. Flames licked at the walls, devouring everything in their path. Anyone injured? Lily shouted. A woman stumbled toward them, clutching a young boy. He can't breathe, she cried. Lily knelt, pulling out oxygen masks, while Jake coordinated with firefighters to find the trapped. Minutes later, they received word on the radio. Firefighters found 2 residents unconscious on the 5th floor, heavy smoke inhalation. We're bringing them down. Jake and Lily prepared stretchers, working in concert with paramedics arriving on scene. As they loaded the victims into the ambulance, the radio crackled again. Unit 5, Riverbend General's backup generator is failing. We have multiple patients in critical condition. Jake's hands trembled as he climbed back into the driver's seat. We have to get these victims to the hospital, fast. Then to the ER. The streets outside were still a gauntlet. Blackouts meant that streetlights were useless, traffic lights dark, and the usual flow of vehicles had become a chaotic flood. Jake's knuckles whitened on the wheel as he navigated flooded intersections and erratic drivers. Suddenly, a sharp report, branches crashing down, a live power line sparking dangerously close to their route. "Lily, keep an eye out for hazards. This is going to be a long night." Her voice was calm but alert. "We're a lifeline in the dark. Let's keep it together." Minutes later, at the hospital, emergency teams rushed the victims inside as the generator groaned and flickered. Jake and Lily barely had time to catch their breath before the radio erupted with new calls. Code blue at Pine Street, elderly man collapsed during blackout. Multiple vehicle collision at Highway 40, injuries reported. Infant breathing difficulties at 4th and Elm, power failure in home. The city's heartbeat was fractured, and the ambulance crews were its frantic pulse. Jake's eyes burned with fatigue, but he pushed forward. Every call was a race. Every second could be the difference between life and death. The night stretched on without mercy. Through the endless dark, Jake and Lily drove, carrying hope, skill, and the fight to save every soul caught in the blackout's cruel grasp. And for every shadow, there was a light. Theirs. The pale fingers of dawn crept hesitantly across Riverbend's shattered skyline, but for paramedics Jake Mercer and Lily Chen, the battle was far from over. The city still lay crippled beneath a heavy cloak of darkness, its veins choked by floodwaters and debris, its heart pulsing faintly beneath the weight of a blackout that refused to lift. Inside their battered ambulance, the air was thick with exhaustion and adrenaline. Jake's knuckles gripped the steering wheel, pale and raw from hours of tense navigation through flooded streets and blacked-out intersections. Beside him, Lily scanned the radio frequencies, alert to every call, every whisper of trouble. The radio crackled sharply, breaking the brief silence. Unit 5, emergency at 700 Oak Street. Elderly man unconscious. Possible cardiac arrest. Jake exchanged a glance with Lily. Oak Street's a nightmare right now, roads flooded and blocked, no power, no traffic lights. Lily's jaw tightened. We've got to get there. Lives depend on it. Without hesitation, Jake swung the wheel hard, plunging into the murky depths of a street transformed by floodwaters. Water lapped against the ambulance's tires, swirling thick and cold. Every inch forward was a battle against nature's wrath. At 700 Oak Street, the scene was dire. A small house stood half submerged in muddy water, its front steps barely visible beneath the rising flood. Neighbors huddled on higher ground, their faces etched with fear. Maya, the caller, was waiting outside, soaked and shaking. "My father's inside. He collapsed and won't wake up. Please, hurry." Lily grabbed the portable defibrillator and medical kit, sprinting through ankle-deep water to the doorway. Inside, the stale air was heavy and thick with moisture. The elderly man lay slumped in a chair, pale and unresponsive. Lily worked quickly, checking pulse and airway, while Jake coordinated the rushed extraction. Minutes felt like eternity as Lily administered CPR, the defibrillator's charge pulsing like hope in her hands. Outside, Jake shouted into his radio. Unit 5 requesting immediate EMS backup at Oak Street. Patient in cardiac arrest. Extraction priority 1. Backup was delayed, streets blocked by fallen trees and power lines. But Lily refused to give up. The man's eyes fluttered open briefly, gasping for air. Maya wept quietly, clutching her mother's hand. With careful teamwork, Jake and Lily managed to move the patient onto a stretcher, battling the swirling floodwaters back to the ambulance. As they sped toward the hospital, a new call came through. Code red at Riverbend General. Power failing. Patient's critical. Jake glanced at Lily. We can't let the hospital go dark. It's the city's last hope. They reached the hospital to find chaos, nurses scrambling to connect portable oxygen tanks, doctors racing to stabilize patients as backup generators sputtered. Jake and Lily jumped into the fray, moving swiftly to offload their patient, then taking on calls from triage to ICU, becoming the bridge between crisis and care. The radio crackled again. Reports of multiple car pileup on Highway 40. Several trapped, injuries critical. Without hesitation, Jake pulled the ambulance back into the maze of streets, now teeming with emergency vehicles, overwhelmed first responders, and frantic civilians. The highway was a twisted scene of wreckage, vehicles piled atop one another, smoke rising, screams piercing the heavy air. Lily administered first aid to a woman trapped in her car, while Jake directed rescuers to those in greatest need. Minutes dragged by, filled with screams, sirens, and the relentless struggle against time. Amid the chaos, Jake noticed a child crying from the back seat of a wrecked SUV. He crawled through shattered glass and twisted metal, reassuring the terrified boy. "We're getting you out. You're safe." As the sun finally crept above the horizon, casting pale light on the battered city, Jake and Lily finally paused, bloodied, exhausted, but unbroken. The blackout had tested every limit of roads, hospitals, systems, and human endurance. Yet through it all, the paramedics had been a lifeline, a steady hand reaching through the dark. And as dawn promised a new day, Jake glanced at Lily and nodded. "We made it through the night. But the city still needs us." She smiled tiredly. "Tomorrow, we do it all again."